gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's December the 5th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by Professor Matt Shodell as we discuss the news of the day, presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, the time is now to get ready for utter insanity because we are in Transfer Portal 2022. It kicked off at midnight. Here we are, 5 a.m., and I can feel the excitement. I can feel the buzz. I can feel the craziness. I can feel the desperation because I'm going to tell you right now, the majority of these kids, and I think there's over 1,000 of them already in the transfer portal here as we get into the wee hours of the morning because they were able to file starting at midnight. A lot of these kids aren't going to find new teams. Okay, and we're going to have a lot of college football players who don't have a home in a few weeks, when the transfer portal period ends. And that's going to be kind of sad. And on one hand, this transfer portal situation and the rules involved with it allow a program like the Miami Hurricanes to kind of hit the reset button and purge their roster of players that can't really play at a program like Miami anymore and replace them with new guys through traditional recruiting and through the transfer portal itself. But Matt, Miami is a rare bird in this situation, I think. And it's going to be sad. A lot of these guys, including the guys leaving Miami, are not going to have homes in a few weeks. Just your thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say about that. It's a fact. The key here is to understand that this is not about student athletes anymore. The NCAA has made this about athletes. It's a professional sport now. And a lot of the people going into the portal are doing it for monetary reasons, not to get a better education, not to get a degree in engineering from Harvard instead of Penn State. They're doing it to make money. So this is a business now. So you know what? The players that go in the portal and don't have a home, they don't get a degree. Apparently, the NCAA is now fine with that. That's not right, but that's the facts. So as it pertains to Miami Hurricanes, I believe that's the team we cover, right? So as it pertains to them, what I am hoping Mario Cristobal's blueprint is that he always refers to and will never tell anybody the secret sauce in it, is that this is not about what he did last year. What he did last year was we want to try to win now while simultaneously somehow also turning this team into a national championship team 2 to 3 years later. Like, I don't understand how you do both. I know Gary Ferman says, jump and chew tobacco, but
walk and chew gum.
Oh, I thought it was
Hi, Jay Collette. Walk and chew gum.
I thought it was jump and chew tobacco. But anyway, whatever the case is, we will find out very soon, based on who Mario has decided to go after in the portal, if he still thinks that he has to win now. If he thinks he has to win 10 games in 2023 for some reason, when we know it's going to be very difficult. Can it be done? Hypothetically, with free agency, of course it can be done. But the truth is, the returning bulk of their talent isn't good enough. We know that for a fact. The freshmen that they're bringing in, 25-plus players, are not going to be ready to help. So we're now talking about 50-plus players on next year's roster that we know aren't going to be national championship caliber players in 2023. So what I'm hoping he decides is it's okay to not win 10 games in 2023 if we're in the playoffs in 2024. And I hope I know he doesn't view it that way. I view it that way. I hope somebody talks some sense into him, because if he starts taking transfer portal guys, because, oh my gosh, we only have 2 guys at linebacker that can play right away in 2023. We need 2 portal guys, even though they were backups at X program and Y program. We have to do it because otherwise next year we're screwed. Like, that's not for me, man. Like, I'd rather have a true freshman linebacker who's not doing real well and get an experience and costing the team some wins hypothetically next year. I mean, it happens.
Throw Popo Geary right on the field.
If that's what it takes, if that means not taking 2 guys who aren't good enough to win national championships, yeah. Because I don't need to stack talent unless they're gone in a year, unless they're seniors who are just gone off the roster. It's hard to find those guys that are really good that are going to be gone because they'd go to the NFL if they were that good, not looking for a new home because they'd be starting wherever they are. So they're sort of fairy tales unless you just pay them a lot of money as free agents. But yeah, I'm okay with not being great in 2023. The team won 5 games this year. I'm okay with winning 8 games next year as long as he's planning to make this a championship level team starting in 2024, a playoff team in 2024. That should be the goal, not taking guys now willy-nilly in the transfer portal to try and win 9 games in an ACC that you have to be the top 2 teams now. Like, probably not going to happen next year.
Okay. I think you're confusing having to win next year. No, Mario Cristobal does not have to win next year. He has a 10-year contract with wanting to win next year. I absolutely can tell you Mario Cristobal wants to win next year and wants to win every single game that he goes on the sideline to be the head coach. Okay, now you got Tyler Van Dyke looking like he's going to come back to be your starting quarterback. You've got hopefully Trevante Citizen coming back to play running back with whoever else from the running back position comes back. And you're hoping to add a guy like Mark Fletcher to the running back room, a true freshman, I might add. You got a pretty good situation at tight end with Arroyo and Skinner and then 3 young kids. On the O-line, you're getting ready to sign 2 5-star freshmen who may or may not be able to help next year, but you're still making that position better. You're bringing in several young quality linemen, but you still got Zion Nelson coming back. You still have guys that played some this year, not so great all the time, I might add, but at least at worst they're depth fillers to where if you could find 3 guys in the transfer portal that can actually play next year, your offensive line situation, when you combine that and what they're doing in traditional recruiting, will be significantly better than it was this year. The receiver position, you're going to have most of those guys back, which isn't great, no argument, but you're going to add to them Ray Joseph. You're going to add Robbie Washington. You're probably going to add 1 or 2 guys in the portal. The receiver position can have a whole different look in 2023. That's just the offensive side of the ball. This is not a lost cause, okay? They are going to be looking to make moves right now that can make this team competitive next year, and it's not so far-fetched. You could go on to the defense where on the defensive line, you've got a pretty good nucleus coming back. Now you need to add to it. Linebackers challenge for sure. You got to do better than Caleb Johnson in the portal at linebacker. No argument there. If all you're going to get is Caleb Johnson, then I agree. Let Popo Aguirre play. No argument. You got to fortify defensive back a little bit, I think. No argument there as well. But the point I think I'm making is this is not a lost cause. It wasn't a lost cause this year. They just got besieged by injuries and they didn't have the depth to deal with them. And they started losing. And then it was just a downward spiral where they were panicking and doing different things and everything just kind of snowballed on them. It was a horrible season. But that doesn't mean next year has to be horrible. And Mario is going into this offseason. He wants as many spots as he can, which is why right now I think they've got 26. And I think you're going to see at least another 10 to 15 guys end up in the transfer portal. Many of them now not by choice, because I think that they've gone through the process and the guys that by choice wanted to go to the portal have gone to the portal. Now it's going to be the next wave would be guys not by choice who are told, listen, we've evaluated this situation and we don't think you could play her. And that might not be till after spring practice, but they don't have to be at the 85 limit until the fall. So there's still a long way to go here in this transfer portal process, the recruiting process. But Matt, I feel pretty confident. I get what you're saying, but no, you don't ever at the University of Miami not try to win every football game you play.
No, obviously you don't get what I'm saying, because you just said you get what I'm saying, but you said the exact opposite. Injury, first of all, let's unpack what you said. Injuries cost the team this season. When the team was healthy the first 4 games, they weren't very good. We literally spoke about how they weren't a real good team. Everyone's coming back from the same team that wasn't real good. Let's celebrate, Gary. You got to do something different. You can't keep, this has been last year's plan. It's been the last 20 years plan. Let's win now. Let's win now. Never plan for 2 or 3 years from now. God forbid. We have a hole at linebacker. We're still not good at receiver. Oh my gosh, what should we do? Let's just get some portal help. Bring in 3 or 4 guys. Who cares if they were backups everywhere else, or a JUCO kid who has never played major college football? Whatever, man. We'll hope some of them pan out. Like, no.
Tyler, hey, it's Gary from CaneSport. How are you? Hey, I'm sitting here doing Good Morning CaneSport with Matt Shodell, and he wanted me to tell you that under no circumstances should you come play your final year of college football at Miami, because the program's not going to be trying to win any games, Tyler. Nobody cares. All that's important is what happens a few years down the road. So I think you should consider transferring and go to some other program to play your final season. Oh, hey, and by the way, I know Xavier, your roommate, is in the next room. Tell him that he might as well transfer too, because, this season was kind of like a waste for him because of the injuries and everything that was going on. And he's not going to want next year to be a waste when the Miami Hurricanes aren't even trying to win football games. What's the point of him staying here too? So tell him that wherever you go, that he should follow you, and he should go in the portal too. And while you're at it, Tyler, spread the word throughout the locker room. Miami is not invested in winning anymore. The Hurricanes don't care about winning games. Matt Shodell is in charge now. He is the real GM of football operations at Miami. Alonzo's going to come over and work with me at CaneSport. And so spread the word up and down the locker room that Miami's no longer invested in winning games, and we're only worried about what happens a couple years from now. All right, man? I just wanted to give you those words of advice and that wisdom. We'll talk soon. Take care, Tyler. All right, where were we?
Again, I know you love to put words in my mouth. What I have been
trying...
Let me speak for 2 minutes. What I've been trying to say is I hope Mario Cristobal doesn't try to win now. That doesn't mean try to lose now. Okay, what that means is you're not even listening to me. What it means. Wait
a minute. You're saying if you're not trying to win now, you're not trying to lose either.
If I could just speak, maybe you'll be able to understand actual words that come out of my mouth, because it appears you never do. What I'm trying to say.
Okay, yeah, I got to understand this. So I'm going back to the tape.
The plan should be, don't panic to try and win now. Okay, it doesn't mean lose now. It doesn't mean get rid of all your players. Okay, what it means is don't panic and take guys out of the portal that aren't going to help you win a national championship in 2 to 3 to 4 years, which is what they've done every year now. Manny Diaz took 10 to 15 transfers every year. Mario did it last year because the roster's not good enough. You can't keep doing the same thing that's been going on here for 20 years. You have to try something different, and that something different means it's okay to be thin at linebacker instead of taking a desperation guy out of the portal who's a backup somewhere else just because you don't have a number. It's okay to not take 2 portal receivers this year because you don't have the depth and talent you want at wide receiver. What you want to do is you got 25 freshmen in the class. Okay, they're probably not going to help you win a championship this year. Okay, if you look at the roster this year, okay, the team had all of 14 juniors and 10 seniors. Okay, and that's it. So everyone else who wants to come back that they're keeping as returners are either going to be redshirt freshmen or sophomores for the most part, and some juniors, not that many juniors. So it's a very young nucleus. And what I don't want them to do is freak out and say, we have to win now, we have to win now, we have to win 10 games next year. It's that mentality I don't want, not let's lose every game. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I hope Mario Cristobal understands it's okay to lose a game next year if that's what it comes to in order to be in the playoffs in 2 to 3 to 4 years, because that's all we care about. I don't need to win 8 and 9 games and get stuck in that level every single year. Okay, because they're stuck in that 7 to 9 win range for 20 years now. It's like those teams in the NFL that keep getting stuck at 7 to 9 wins, and they never get the high draft picks. They never have the players who are difference makers. They're just stuck in the middle. They're never bad enough to get great, and they're never great in the first place. Miami needs to be great, not just okay or better. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, this is college football. There's no draft. Okay,
There is. It's called free
there's
agency
there's nothing
and recruiting. Of course,
there's
there's a
nothing
draft.
stopping
Every
you.
year they turn over 25 kids. How can you say it's not a draft? Of course, it's a
But
draft.
there's nothing stopping you from doing a good job of evaluation and making your
Okay,
spot
this
count.
is about the transfer portal. They're doing a great job in recruiting, but that's not going to take effect for 2 years. True freshmen aren't going to win championships, but they will in their third year. And that's what I'm saying. The transfer portal right now should be used to supplement what they need in a year or two, not this year. This coming up season, we know they're not going to win a national championship. There's nowhere near the talent they need. The young players won't be ready. So it's okay to say, hey, let's build this for 2 years. The blueprint should be national championship in 2 to 3 years. And if the blueprint is we got to win now, that's what I have a problem with. That's all. You can call Tyler Van Dyke can call you on the phone all he wants.
So don't go into the portal. So you're saying don't go into the portal.
I'm saying go into the portal for free agents.
Why?
Free agents, not portal guys.
But if you're not trying to win now, what do you need to go to the portal at all for?
Because if there's a freshman, if there's a freshman from this past year, redshirt freshman from this past year, who's going to be great in a couple of years, that's who I want in the portal, man. I don't need a backup junior from Penn State out of the portal who's a linebacker who maybe can compete with Corey Flagg to start at middle linebacker like they did last year. Like, I don't need that, man. Like, I want young free agents that will supplement our current roster, that, guys who are either really good as freshmen, really good as sophomores even, who will be here in a year or two, who can be great here. That's what I want.
So guys that are going to be fifth-year seniors have no value.
I said that's fine if you want to just jettison them after you. If you,
they're going to be out of eligibility in a few
months. Literally said you can do that. I said, but if you remember, because again, you don't listen to the words coming out of my mouth. I said it's very hard to get really, really good seniors because they're either in the NFL if they're that good, or they're staying with the team they're already on because they have 1 year left. Why would they risk leaving if they're that good? Usually when you get a senior who's a transfer, it's a guy who's at a minor. It's a UAB guy. It's a guy who's from USC who's a backup there. It's a guy who the coach changed and they're not going to use him at the right position anymore. Those are the kinds of guys you get that are senior transfers. It's not, it's okay to take them because they're gone off the roster, which is great. But chances are you're not getting a great senior to come in. That's all. Unless you pay him a lot of money.
Has the best NIL situation probably in the country. There might be some others that are right there. In fact, this is a great segue for me to say that tonight at Ballpark 8:30, we are going to have a town hall live on our YouTube channel that will be simulcast, obviously, on our CaneSport.com website with John Ruiz of Life Wallet. And he's going to take questions. We're going to talk about the transfer portal opening up. We're going to talk about NIL. We're going to talk about how the two of them come together. And he will take all questions from the fans as part of this interview in Town Hall. So that will be at 8:30 tonight. I hope many of you will be able to join us for that because this transfer portal is not going anywhere. Regardless of Matt Shodell things, it's here. And I think Miami's going to be looking to fill 10 to 12 spots in the transfer portal if this thing shakes out.
No doubt about it. 100%.
Right. And the one thing I do agree with Matt on is that there should be a mix. Like, you want some Darrell Jacksons. Like, that was a really good transfer portal pickup last year. And he was a sophomore this year.
That's exactly what you want. 100%.
He still has 2 more years to play. Okay. Messidor, who can come back next year and play again. He was a good transfer portal pickup. Caleb Johnson was a bad transfer portal pickup. Logan Sagapulo and John Dennis were probably not great transfer portal pickups. Although John Dennis did have to start at one point this year. So you might want to argue he was a good transfer portal pickup. But yes, they had various degrees of effectiveness this year. And in an ideal world, you want to make all your spots count with guys like Darrell Jackson. No argument from me on that. But I can promise you that regardless of what you've heard so far on this show, that Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes are trying to win every game next year. Now, are they going to be good enough to do it? Probably not. But they're not going to lose due to lack of effort here in the offseason to put the best roster together. And recruiting, which is going on right now, and the transfer portal, which opened up for business at midnight earlier this morning are the ways that they have to do that. So rather than argue with Matt anymore today, we will see where it goes from here.
It's not an argument when one person is clearly correct and the other one is clearly deranged. That's not the definition of an argument.
I'm going to give you the benefit of opinions are opinions. And often there's not a right and a wrong. Often,
listen, I mean, if you truly believe that you can win at the same time as planning to win a national championship 2 or 3 years later, like by getting guys,
100% believe.
You believe everything,
and I know my buddy Jay Collette from the War Room message board would agree with me that you can walk and chew gum at the same time, and this is no different.
It's funny. It's funny to me because you see
the future with your 25 true freshmen, 26 true freshmen, 27 true freshmen, whatever the number ends up being. You could build for the future by making those spots count, while also fortifying your current team with transfers that will help you take your returning players in tandem with some of the true freshmen that are able to contribute in year one and go out and try to compete for the ACC title in 2023. Absolutely.
Is this a rerun? Because this is the exact same conversation we had before this season when I said they shouldn't do what they did. And you said they can walk and chew gum, and they wound up with 5 wins and took a bunch of portal guys that they didn't need that now are on the roster. Like,
and how many do you think they would have won had they not taken those portal guys?
5.
No. You tell me they would have won 5 without Darryl Jackson.
They still would have won 5 games. Without John Dennis, without Logan Sagapolu, you just take 3 or 4 of the guys you needed.
But how about
you didn't need Jacob Lichtenstein to win 5 games. You didn't need Antonio Moultrie to win 5 games. You didn't even need Mike Ladson. All you needed was Colby Young, Akeem Messidor, and Darryl Jackson to win 5 games. 3 guys, not 12. 3 guys. That's all they needed, not 12.
How about Henry Parrish?
No, you don't need Henry Parrish to win 12. No, you didn't.
I mean
to win 5.
All right. Well,
he averaged 3-something yards a carry. I mean, it wasn't like he was this all-star. Like, he was good, you know. No, but Lucius Stanley would have averaged 3.7 yards a carry also, I think, you know, and he was a walk-on. Like, there was no breakaway runs. I think his longest run of the year was 22 yards or something. I mean, like, you know, whatever.
I think the reality is they will be back in the portal. They will be looking.
Of course.
But I will agree with you that the primary.
I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying don't go in the portal. I'm saying go in the portal to plan for 2 and 3 years from now, not for this year with backups just because you don't have depth at certain places. That's literally all I'm saying. You constantly are putting words in my mouth. I'm not saying don't go in the portal. They're taking 10 or 12 guys in the portal. They have to.
How about the Canes fan match? Should they not buy their tickets this year?
Canes fans should absolutely buy their tickets. Canes fans should absolutely buy their tickets for Clemson games because they can watch a team win a lot of games.
All right. Regardless of what he's saying, the portal's open, folks. And open. Miami can go in there and look for talent. And I know they're doing that. And we'll see what they end up finding. Okay. Hopefully they find more Jalen Phillips than they find Caleb Johnson, you know, for example. And, you know, we'll see what happens there. All right. Let's get into some of these other stories that are on the website today. We wrap up our roster analysis heading into the portal window with a closer look at the defensive back position, which could use some fortification. And I would expect, much to the chagrin of Matt, that they will be looking for a few DBs.
There's nothing wrong with getting guys in the portal. Just get the right guys. Like, what do you keep saying this? I keep saying they're going to take 10 to 15 portal guys. That's okay. Just take the right ones. Take the guys who will help you in 2 or 3 years, not the guys who are back up somewhere else just because you need a number. Like, I can't keep saying the same thing over and over again, Gary. Put on your hearing aid and listen to me. Not don't go in the portal. Yes, go in the portal. Take the right guys who can help you in 2 and 3 years to win a championship.
You realize most guys in the portal are not freshmen, right? It's mostly
I already said they're not freshmen.
Upperclassmen.
I literally said you take the redshirt freshmen, the sophomores, guys who had great first years. You take free agents, not portal guys. I literally said it. You just don't listen. It's like my wife says to me, I never listen. Oh, I guess we are married because you don't listen to me just like I don't listen to my wife, apparently.
All right, let's take a moment. Let's hear from our sponsors, Life Wallet and Caneswear, the Cane Shop for all your holiday shopping needs. It's not too late to do your holiday shopping. At some point, go to CaneSport.com or go to their store in Davie and load up on stuff because they have a lot of merchandise because things were a little slow this year because of the way the team played. So we'll be back in 1 second.
Welcome to CaneSport. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at CaneSport.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
We here at LifeWallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have talked to CC, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to CC. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
All right, so because the transfer portal wasn't open until midnight, a lot of the activity over the weekend was traditional recruiting, and there was so much of it, and we've had it covered every step of the way. Matt, we'll review some of these things and also talk about some of the stories that are on the website this morning. All right, so 2 commitments over the weekend. Marcellus Pulliam, he committed, and also Joshua Horton, a defensive lineman that I think is so undervalued and underrated. And when you turn on his tape, which Stephen Wagner and I did, and that item is on the website this morning as well, you just see so much ability and so much potential in Joshua Horton. And I think Miami's going to be holding its breath here for the next few weeks, hoping that they can hold on to him because he's been so under the radar, just sitting there as a North Carolina commit. Well, Miami swoops in, they steal him from North Carolina. Now it's high profile, and you got people all over the country taking a look at who's this Joshua Horton guy that Miami just stole from North Carolina. And when they turn on the Joshua Horton video, they're going to be like, oh my God, man, like this guy can flat play. And, just curious, your general thoughts. While you're talking, I'll play some of these Josh Horton highlights. And, I think this was a really big pickup for Miami.
I mean, you think every pickup's a big pickup for Miami,
Kid. Look at him.
I can't remember any commitment ever that you said, oh, this was a bad pickup. I mean, the truth is, okay, the 2 guys they got, I don't believe in stars. They're 3 stars, whatever. But the reason they're 3 stars, okay, is Marcellus Pulliam is a tweener. They're both tweeners, actually. They're both tweeners, okay? That's part of the problem. So Josh Horton played mostly defensive end. He's playing defensive tackle mostly now, but he really has to gain about another 30 pounds in college to be a real defensive tackle, which is what he has to be. I mean, he's going to be too big to play defensive end, not quick enough to play defensive end, which is why, you didn't see him, the Alabamas and Ohio States and Oklahomas and whatever's after him. As far as Marcellus, Marcellus, I like him a lot because he's like a big physical linebacker, but every coach at his school I talk to says he's not a linebacker. They say he's going to have to be an edge rusher at the next level. And they said other schools like Kentucky wanted him a defensive end, but the kid refuses to play defensive end. He only wants to play linebacker. Like, that's not great to me. So, I mean, yeah, Gary, you love every pickup they get. I mean, I'm just pointing out some of the issues. Do I love both pickups? If they turn out to be great players, I love the pickups. But right now, they're both tweeners. One of them doesn't want to play the position he's probably supposed to play. Like, whatever, man. I mean, neither of them are going to be playing as freshmen. So, call me back in 2 years when you're done with your Tyler Van Dyke stalking, when you're done stalking him with your fake telephone calls. Call me back and we can talk about these two guys.
Pulliam might play as a freshman on special teams.
I'm sorry. I mean, significant, too deep.
But I agree with you, yes. That's why you need to go to the transfer portal, because you can't rely on these guys to play next year as true freshmen. And, it just more supports the case that you need to go get some upperclassmen to balance the freshman class in the portal. That is what I think they'll do. Now, in a couple days this weekend, the Miami coaches visited every single kid on the commit list. Shored up those commitments, went and made home visits at school, and we've got stories on as many of them on the website right now as we could get a hold of. And
we got a hold of a lot of them.
Yeah, which is a lot of them. Yeah.
Stephen Wagner. Stephen Wagner is relentless. He's like the Mario Cristobal of recruiting writers. I mean, I've never I thought I would call a lot of guys and get a lot of work done. This guy, there must be like 4 Stephen Wagners that are all sending us stories at the same time, because it's like unbelievable what this guy's doing.
Yeah, he's had a really, really good weekend. But we've had updates on Emory Williams, Frankie Tinalau, Robbie and Bobby Washington, Reed McKeska, Ray Joseph, and a lot more on the way. We also updated the status of a non-committed guy, linebacker Stanquan Clark, who continues to hold Miami at bay here as the Canes try to sway him from Louisville, and he's a big priority for the Canes, and we're gonna have to keep monitoring that one, because he's not giving any hints, Matt, about what he's planning to do.
I mean, if they can close with Stan Kwan, Bain, Okunlola, and maybe a surprise or two, this is one of the best recruiting classes they've had probably since 2002, 2003. And I think they can do it. That's the scary thing.
Absolutely can do it. I think they'd like to get Chris Johnson in there.
Oh, yeah, and a running back. Yeah, they'll get Chris Johnson or Mark Fletcher, one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, the recruiting aspect is what's amazing. That's why I don't want it getting muddled with screw-ups in the portal, because Mario is so good at recruiting. I don't want him to get inside his head and be like, oh, in the meantime, let's take a half a class of just has-beens like through the portal. Like, I don't need that, because he's doing so well in recruiting. I mean, just if he didn't even go if he literally never went into the portal and just recruited guys, I think they'd be winning national championships in 3 or 4 years. All that the portal's doing is keeping him from recruiting those numbers of guys he brings in as portal guys, because he is unbelievable as a recruiter, like personally recruiting every single guy every day and bonding with every guy, and the parents love him. Like, there's nothing he can't do in recruiting, which is another reason. Just don't muck it up in the portal, Mario. Okay? You're so good at recruiting. I'm not sure you're so good in the portal. He got maybe a C+, B- in the portal last year, A+ in recruiting every year. So stick with the recruiting. Be very, very sure in the portal what you want to do. Don't just jump for guys.
That I don't disagree with you on. I do obviously think that the majority of the kids coming in the program should be through traditional recruiting. We just disagree on the value of the portal. I think the portal has value. But getting back to the traditional, no, we're not having that debate again. We already had it for today. I'm sure tomorrow we'll find a reason to have it again. Because
just don't contradict yourself and say his recruiting's great and his portal's terrible, but he should still take portal guys.
I think they can do both. I think they can do both. But getting back to the traditional recruiting aspect of this, we sent our other young superstar, Azubi Charles, out to American Heritage this weekend. And he came back feeling pretty positive about the chances that it's not out of the question that Miami can get all 3 of those prospects at American Heritage. And I'm not going to predict that it'll happen, because then Matt will attack me and say I'm too positive.
No, I actually think it's possible. I think Ennis is the least likely. I honestly think they have a better chance than not with Mark Fletcher. And I predicted that months ago, by the way. Everyone freaked out. I think they get Mark Fletcher. I think they get Damari Brown. Ennis, 35%. Maybe.
Ennis is the toughest one of the 3. And it was funny because while Azubi was talking to him out there the other night, Brian Hartline, the Ohio State receivers coach, was like standing off to the side, kind of trying to monitor what was going on. They're nervous because of Fletcher's decommitment. They know that they're trying to hang on to Innis, and they know Miami's coming hard.
And those two guys are best. Those two guys are best friends. Fletcher and Innis, they would drive down to the Miami camps together. They're always together. So it'll be interesting to see if the problem is it's a business decision for Innis, and Miami's passing offense has been just abysmal. They lost their top quarterback prospect obviously Tyler comes back for one more year or whatever. There's no backups behind him that if somebody can pass it. There's a lot of
Innis would probably play with Tyler as
for 1 year. For 1 year.
And then they'd have a competition with Emery, Jacurri, maybe Jake, and maybe somebody from the transfer portal. Yeah, no, I said it again. Take that, Matt Shodell. Next year's quarterback might come from the transfer portal.
The other problem is the offense they run isn't really what Innis wants. Innis wants a wide open spread. It's not what they run. I mean, he literally told me that back when he was being recruited by Miami.
So when Tyler Van Dyke was coming into his own and he threw for 500 against North Carolina and like 350 against Virginia Tech, that offense wasn't wide open enough for you?
That was not. You do understand I'm talking about scheme, not results, right? I'm talking about what he wants in a scheme. He runs a 2-3 tight end set. I mean, he doesn't run a wide open hurry up spread. Like, he just doesn't.
They threw for almost 500 against the team that
played
on Saturday for the ACC championship.
I'm telling you schematically what Innis told me he wanted several times back when we were in camps with him. I haven't talked to him about it in a while because he hasn't been doing interviews. But yeah, he said he wants what Lashley did, and what Lashley did, and what Josh Gaddis does, regardless of the results, he could throw for 800 yards. They're totally different systems. Josh Gaddis does not push the ball down the field through the air. If they wind up with 300, 400 passing yards, a lot of it's on quick hitters that turn into big gains and things that he schemes up, which are great, but it's just not the scheme that Brandon Innis told me he wants.
Let me ask you a question. What was Rhett Lashley's record in last year?
At SMU, you talking about?
No, at Miami.
What's that got to do with it? They had a terrible defense that year.
Okay, what was his record at
Miami? He averaged 35 points a game.
Okay, what was his record? What was the record of that team?
They won 7 games, right?
Okay, and what did SMU win this year?
Oh, I don't cover SMU, Gary. I forgot you cover SMU.
They went 7-5.
Great.
Okay. So with all of the aerial fireworks, with all of the big passing games, with Tyler Van Dyke throwing for 300 yards every week and everything else, neither one of the teams were winning teams. So, like, if somebody's sitting there thinking this is the only way to win, that's flawed. Okay? It's flawed. And, Mario has a philosophy. It's not to not throw the ball. I mean, they throw the ball plenty.
You're wrong, by the way.
They have a quarterback that can throw.
You're making it sound like he wants to run this wide open downfield passing offense. He wants to be predicated on a power run game. Period. Like, let's not pretend that's not what this
passing game, and it can be as wide open as your talent allows you to be. When you don't have receivers that can get open down the field, when you don't have an offensive line that can protect your quarterback, and you don't have a healthy quarterback that can throw the ball accurately, it's kind of hard to have a downfield passing game.
Why is it not okay to say that Mario wants a power run game? Like, that's okay. That's what he wants.
Mario wants a power run game and he wants a passing game. He wants to walk and chew gum, and he wants to have an offense like Alabama does every year, where they, by the way, run and pass.
Right.
They've had some great quarterbacks. They've had some great receivers. They run and they pass. That's what Mario wants. He doesn't want
doesn't want that. Everybody wants that. Not just Mario, but it's very hard to do that.
Your personnel and the healthier football team have something to say about that. And this year, Miami had neither. They had
here's the problem. Here's the problem. And this is you just still ignore just that Brandon Innis wants a certain scheme. You seem to just say, well, you have to win games and get yards, like whatever. That's not what he said to me. He said, this is the scheme I want. I'm just repeating what he told me. But here's the truth. Okay, Josh Gaddis did not, for whatever reason, and maybe Mario too, did not for whatever reason this year realize the offensive line was not good. There's ways to get around a bad offensive line. And guess what? I hate to say it, but Rhett Rashleigh did that a year ago. He moved the pocket. He found ways to get the quarterback time to throw the ball, okay? And he ran the plays that quarterbacks wanted to run and enjoyed running, and it worked. It wasn't like the offensive line was that much worse this year than last year. It was the same offensive lineman. Just the way Rhett ran the offense worked a heck of a lot better. Like, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, just like Mario says.
We had a healthy Van Dyke, a healthy Rambo, a healthy Harley, a healthy running backs.
But the offense, you said offensive line. I'm saying the offensive line was the same.
Similar.
We're talking about the offensive line. So,
Similar.
like you said, the offensive line's the problem. Like, it wasn't. They just didn't run the offense correctly to negate the problems on the offensive line.
All right. So, in addition to all of the recruiting talk on the website, and there's a lot of it, you know, I'm not going through every single story, but you'll see there's been a steady flow of them. There's a whole lot more coming today, tomorrow, every day this week for sure, as we continue to point towards December 21st of the early signing day. In addition to that, we also have a story on the men's basketball team, which opened up ACC play yesterday with a big win over a totally outclassed Louisville program. And man, I'll tell you, Matt, it shows you how fast things can go in the dumper, man. Louisville has been one of the storied programs of college basketball for a long time. Miami, I mean, had they wanted to be, was 40 points better than that team yesterday. And pretty ugly times right now for Louisville basketball.
I mean, Louisville's 0-8 for a reason. I mean, we don't have to spend much time talking about that. That was a nonsense game, honestly. I mean, there's no point even talking about it. Louisville's awful.
All right, so that's going to do it for today for the Matt Shodell Comedy Hour. If you like this show and you like the content that we create on our YouTube channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms that YouTube helps us get more viewers. So that when people click away who don't want to listen to Matt anymore, there's more coming behind them, and it kind of just keeps things going on our YouTube channel. And if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please come join us in our community. I try to get Matt to not have debates about the transfer portal on our message boards. So we have high quality message boards with lots of great interaction amongst all the fans. And if you're not a part of it, I think you will enjoy it if you were. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for starting your day out with us this morning. And we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.